Good evening, everyone. This is Ming Jong. Welcome to session 15 of the weekly live group coaching session. I'm thrilled to see new names here, new joiners. So thanks for coming. So depending on the questions that I receive later, we might or might not stay for another 10, 15 more minutes if there are a lot of questions. So feel free to ask questions if you have any questions related to trading or stock markets, current markets, or any type of the stocks or charts that you would like me to take a look or relevant to the materials that I presented. All right, so let's get started now. So this is what we're going to cover for tonight's session. So first of all, as usual, there will be the market outlook. So I'll cover all the major indices, and also the highlight will be on the crude oil and also the Bitcoin as well. That's for the market outlook. And subsequently, I will be introducing a candidate for the position trading or investing, which is the Apple. And also I will be reviewing my trades on TLRY and also the Malaysia stocks, SCGM, and also the ongoing trade here. And subsequently, I will just run through the UX and also the Bursa stocks. And eventually, there will be some Q&A which I have received already, plus some of the ad hoc questions that you might be asking. All right, so let's get started now. So first of all, let me just jump to the indices. So as you can see in this screen, this is the four major indices in the US market that I always take a look every day. So here is the S&P 500. We have been on a straight up trend. So pretty much is extended. And let me just zoom in and focus on the S&P 500. So if you can just tell from this chart, so it's a very straight up trend and it's very clean as well. So we have a high, 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 low, but do pay attention to this. So as of now, it's still currently overbought and kind of overthrow of this up channel, or the at least the supply line or the overbought line. And if we just take a closer look on the recent rally, so I talked about this last Sunday. So there are some sort of the actually this is 2 weeks ago. So there's some form of the change of character and with the increasing of the supply. So suggesting that this sort of the very prolonged uptrend might come to an end. However, right after this change of character bar with the spike of the supply, I don't really see any downside follow through. In fact, market reverse. So at that point, last Sunday, I mentioned about that there will be some more rally. So probably until we tested the swing high. So last Friday was interesting. So let's zoom in a little bit here. So last Friday, we have a uptrust. So what exactly is uptrust? So this is the swing high or the all-time high. And this is, or some people call it a hidden uptrust, because uptrust is something like we have seen a commitment above and followed by a breakback below. So kind of like a temporary commitment above. So in this case, intraday, we have an uptrust, but on the daily chart, it's sort of like a hidden uptrust. But either way, this is a uptrust, and we don't really see a commitment above the swing high level. So that comes with slight increase of the supply level, and that's with the context of the overbought. So we have an overbought condition here corresponding to the increasing of the supply, and with the uptrust, some sort of form of the rejection. So that is kind of a bearish outlook. So what I actually anticipate from here is probably have another test coming down to test the swing low level here. So that will be quite a natural pullback or a reaction from the market. In fact, what I'm actually hoping to see is probably a test of the axis line here. Because if you just take a look at this stretch here, so this is kind of a prolonged uptrend and kind of overthrow overbought and without really tested the very obvious support area. So if the market become very bearish, or suddenly the sentiment just shift, like kind of having the news of the COVID-19, maybe is kind of getting worse in many countries, then we might see a pullback. If the immediate support level at this swing low, somewhere around 46.20, cannot hold, then we might see a further down move to test the axis line. So this is a very important support area or support axis line. So somewhere around 45.50. But either way, whether it tested the swing low or tested the 45.60, if we look at the uptrend from slightly larger perspective, it's still very much a strong bull run, right? So let's go to the other index. Next one is probably very similar to S&P 500, is a Nasdaq 100. So you can see that Nasdaq 100 is very much very similar. It's like overbought. So we have overbought situation, and it's even stronger than the S&P 500. So let me zoom in here. Okay, so oh sorry, this is still the S&P. Okay, all right, so here we have a Nasdaq. So Nasdaq is in a very well-defined uptrend. So you can see this uptrend with a higher high, higher low throughout. And currently we are having this overbought overthrow condition, and after a very extensive run up. So very similar to S&P 500, but is even stronger than the S&P 500. So you can see that it's kind of commit above, but ultimately I still see that there will be some sort of the pullback or correction on its way, because a lot of the tech stocks, especially the semiconductor stocks, are way over extended and also overbought. So it's quite natural, and I really wouldn't be surprised if I really see some form of the pullback and come back to test at least the swing low level here. All right, but at the moment, there is nothing threatening so far, apart from a bit of the shortening of the upward thrust. So it means that there is some form of the loss of the momentum to the upside, with slightly above average of the volume. So suggesting that there is presence of supply. But until we see confirmation, the market is still going up at the moment. So you just need to be aware of that. And for Dow Jones is quite typical. It's just within this reaccumulation. So this is a reaccumulation, and we're having a sign of strength rally. Now it's just coming back to have a backup action, tested the axis area or axis line. So this is where the previous resistance now turned the support area. So now it's coming back and have a test. So I think that is relatively healthy at the moment. Don't really see anything threatening, but the market is having a pullback at the moment. And another thing that is very interesting, which I will talk more about the ETF of the Russell 2000 as well later, is this Russell 2000 index futures. So this is a huge reaccumulation range. So you can see that this is a huge range and lasted for close to a year, maybe 10 months. And recently it just broke out from the apex formation. So I draw the apex formation in blue here. So you can see that this is a breakout. So at the moment, it just come back to have a test of the breakout bar. So this is the breakout bar that we need to pay attention. And at the moment, we see that it's coming back and going to test this breakout bar, and also coincides with this area. So this is the support area. So if it can just bounce back up, I think that could be a very nice trading opportunities for traders. So do watch that kind of the movement as well. In terms of the volume, I see that supply is picking up. So I also see some kind of the demand tail here. So that means a lot of people also seeing this support area. So they tend to like to buy at this support area. So like the bottom reversal type of the trade. So hopefully it can just have some form of the support after it tested the breakout bar and have a reversal. I think that would be signal signaling a turning point here. So while the S&P 500 and also the Nasdaq are kind of overbought, so there's one possibility for the S&P 500 and also the Nasdaq 100 to have some kind of a rotation into Russell 2000 and also the Dow Jones. So in fact, Dow Jones, like if we look at the individual sector, like the industrial sectors, are doing very well. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the market. So short-term wise, just watch out for a pullback within the S&P 500 and also the Nasdaq. And also for Russell, we need to see whether there will be a reversal form within the area. Okay, so next, let me just show you this crude oil. So I talk about crude oil in the Telegram group on the 5th of November. I say that there's a change of character bar show up, which is here with a spike of the supply, which I also highlighted here. So this is the highest supply, highest volume since the August low, and the up move is stopped for now. So what I mean is that this up move, this uptrend could be stopped for now. Okay, so what's next? Let's see. Okay, so before I jump into the trend, let me just go to the crude oil chart first. So you can see that this is crude oil. Okay, so the change of character bar that I talk about is this bar here. So correspond to this big volume. So we can see that there are also the overbought condition. So this is overbought, and this uptrend actually is very nice and very strong until we see this change of character bar. So this is the change of character bar that started the change, because until this point, even this big bearish bar, it still doesn't really show any kind of the commitment to the downside. So this change of character bar is the largest big bearish bar that we have ever seen. So look at the spread. So from the low to the high is this much. And out from this uptrend, we haven't really seen this kind of the big bearish bar. So this is certainly a change of character bar, which actually stopped this uptrend from moving up further and at least into a trading range at that point. So, and also it comes with spike of the supply, bearish results. So that means that the efforts or the results is in sync with the efforts. So with the efforts behind to push a price down, and finally we see that there is commitment to the downside and actually break below the immediate support level. So definitely this is a change of character bar. So subsequently we see that there is a test. So this is a test of the previous high, and eventually have a reversal and I have a reaction down. So I pointed this support area on the Telegram group as well. So this is somewhere around 75. So it's the very important level that we need to pay attention to, because this is the support area. If it breaks, I think that we could probably see some kind of the downward action continue. So let's just take a look here. So there is an analog that we can use for crude oil. So first of all, what it actually is an analog. So analog is something that we can take reference to, and then we compare the price action and also the volume as well, and see if we can get some form of the conclusion from that, and then deduct our anticipation for the next move of the crude oil. So in this case, what caught my eyes is probably this move here. So first of all, there is something very similar here. So this is also channel overbought. So hit the overbought of the channel, and here you hit the overbought of the channel. And this is the, in terms of the change of character bar, I will say probably this. So that bar there is the change of character bar, which I highlight this. So this is the change of character bar with the spike of the supply, and subsequently it just stopped the uptrend. So this is the uptrend. So after the change of character bar, the previous uptrend has been stopped and at least into a trading range. And after that, we see a test and then another reaction. So if we just compare that, I would say probably, let me use this. Okay, that's the first leg down and first leg down. And probably we see that there will be a test here, a test, another test, and eventually we see that there is a reaction down, a reaction down. Okay, so in terms of the support, there we go, there is the support and support here. So this is a support area. So far it just matched up quite nice, and right now it's sort of having the oversold condition. So if you take a look at the volume here, we see that supply increasing, and subsequently it's kind of hit the oversold condition here. So this is a channel, so another channel here. So this is a oversold condition, so coincides with the support area. So I just wonder if there will be some kind of the support or demand. Here is the logical place for the demand to pick up and then try to push a price up to at least test the access line here. So 80. So 80 is a very important point. We need to see some form of the commitment above for a bullish case. Otherwise, it's quite a natural place to have a rejection and then further by have another reaction down. So if that happen, I wouldn't be surprised there will be similar movement like the previous reaction here, and then it's sort of like traveling within this down channel. So there's a down channel here, okay, until we probably hit the this is the demand here, demand line of the up channel. So that will be quite a nice analog to have. So in terms of the here the season. So let's take a look at the season here. So usually, seasonality works for a lot of the commodity. So let's just take a look at the crude oil. So what happened to crude oil for the past 21 years, especially during the current season, from October until December? So it's in a very clear downtrend. And if we look at the average return by month in terms of the percentage, October dropped the most, followed by November and also December. So very much that it just take into account the data for the past 21 years, and they just average down the crude oil data, so they can just plot the chart and use it as the seasonality of the crude oil. So after December is sort of going into January like bottom, and then have a run up in February. But ultimately, despite having this seasonality chart, we still need to just pay attention to the crude oil. So the crude oil chart at the moment, like I explained earlier on, is bearish for the short term at least, because right after the channel overbought, it's kind of having the change of character, and then followed by a test and then a reversal. So here is a reaction down, but it's kind of oversold. So probably short term will have an attempt to rally up test the 80, and if we got some rejection from the 80 level, I think there will be continuation to the downside. So this first support area is a very important area that we need to pay attention to. So if the area failed to support, then we will see that it will just keep traveling down until we hit somewhere around 70 to 72. So we need to see how it actually react within the level here. So that will be supported by the demand line right there. So this is a demand line. Okay, so that's crude oil. So if we just take a look at, let me see what else. Okay, so nothing, but let me show you the ETF. So I think that there will be XOP. Okay, so this is the oil and gas exploration and also the production. You can see that is just broke down from this immediate support level. And if we just find that 4th of November here, there will be this change of character bar. So right after that, there's a test followed by a reaction and then a breakdown. So in terms of the magnitude is slightly worse than the crude oil. So definitely that there are a lot of the oil stocks are still under a lot of pressure. So you can see that it's heavily influenced by the crude oil. So if you are trading crude oil or the oil related stocks, you might want to take note. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Okay, position trading or investing. So let me just jump to the Apple chart and let's take a look why it is a potential candidate for long-term investing, or I call it position trading. So if I just zoom out, you can see that is in a very much up sloping structure. So this is like a trading range, but it's in an up sloping structure. So I think that we could just see that is having some form of the accumulation going on. So here is a very clear one. This buying climax. So this is right after a uptrend. This is a climatic run up. Look at all the gapping up action and also climatic volume, and subsequently followed by a change of character. So this is the change of character that's actually stopping the uptrend, so at least into a trading range. But in this case, this is a upsloping type of the trading range. And subsequently, I think that that's conclude phase A. And we have a test in B, a few tests in B. And this is a sign of strength rally. So that is followed by probably a backup action. So the backup action is in a trading range, and it's quite a prolonged trading range, lasted for at least probably five months. So recently it just broke out from this downtrend line. So this is the immediate downtrend line on that day. So this is a breakout type of the entry, and then followed by breaking out of the all-time high level. But either way, in terms of the phases, it's just kind of completed the accumulation structure. So we have a sign of strength rally, backing out action. So that's already phase D. Once it's broken out, and we can expect the uptrend started. So that could be the start of the uptrend for Apple. So in terms of the target, let me just take a look at the point and figure chart. So this is a point and figure chart where I use it to estimate the price targets. So that's a test count from this segment, the green segment. So works out to be around 135. So you can see that right after it hits around 130, 135 is somewhere around here. So could be somewhere around here, and it sort of just stopped and then it entering into this trading range. So I would say that the first count is relatively accurate. And subsequently, I have done some of the calculation with this segment, the orange segment, which is projected to be around 156. So that will be the sign of strength rally. So there are some form of the consolidation right there. And so I think the count is relatively good. And the next target after that, that's somewhere around 159. So is around 190 to 10. And if I really want to stretch out, there will be the aggressive count all the way from the backup action to this automatic reaction here. So there will be the maximum count, works out to be around 230 to 70. So bear in mind that there are few in a tank for Apple because of the huge accumulation structures that has built up probably slightly more than a year. So it simply means that there's enough fuel in the tank. So we just need to pay attention to when the price actually hits the price target. So for example, the first target is somewhere around 190. So when it is close to 190 or hit the 190 or 200, so whether it will have a reaction, forming another reaccumulation, then that could be a chance for other people to get in for the position or scale in to add more positions, and followed by 210 and also 230 to 270. So there will be Apple. I think is just have completed the reaccumulation structure, and in terms of the targets, certainly there are a lot of the fuel in the tank. Okay. All right. So next one, trade review. So I talked about TLRY and SCGM last week. So there is a point that I would like to convey here. So let's take a look at TLRY. Okay, so TLRY is a very speculative stock, as you can see from the price movement. So last Sunday, I talked about here. So probably a potential breakout trade. So let me zoom in. So a breakout trade probably happened right there. And in terms of the hourly chart, you probably have some kind of the commitment above. But look at what happened. So eventually, it's kind of close at a low. So if we trade the daily chart, that probably won't have any kind of the entry because it does not really commit above and there is no breakout happen. And if we just take a look at the supply, so the volume, look at this. So increasing of the supply, and this is a very huge supply, very high supply level that comes with the rejection. So there's a rejection tail, open here and then close near the low. So this is very bearish price movement. So at that point, I think that could be maybe if I enter it here, so that I think I enter it somewhere around 13, then the stop is quite a wide stop. But next bar actually did not show a continuation to the downside. And if we look at the volume, so supply has been decreasing, and this is a good sign. And we see that there is an attempt to just go lower, but look at the tail. So this is a demand tail, and it comes with decreasing of the supply. But next bar, actually, it doesn't really show good commitment above. So next bar definitely get me out here. So this is an early exit. So you can get out somewhere around here, despite that the stop is not hit yet, at least at this bar. So what happened is this is kind of like a uptrust, right? So if we take this as the swing high level, and this is a false breakout, uptrust, just a temporary commitment. So maybe one bar, second bar, third bar, fourth bar. So only have 3 bars commitment above and then followed by a break below. So certainly this is bearish. So in terms of the short-term trading, it's best to exit it. So exit it somewhere around here. So instead of having a full -1 R loss, probably cut down to around, well, I would say maybe 0.4 or maybe 0.3. Dave just said that can it be considered a swing up? A swing up? I thought this is already stopped out. So you mean from here on, from here, have another swing up? I mean, in terms of the overall structure, I am not bearish yet because we still have this structure developing. So this is the case like probably uptrust and followed by a break back in. So definitely this short-term swing failed. So just cut loss, have an early exit. But look at that. So we have a supply decreasing and kind of like tested this breakout bar. So that simply means that we have an ongoing structure to develop. So if I zoom out here, okay. So this is maybe like a small structure, a small little structure here. And we have a uptrust, and we probably in phase B, have a test. And like Dave suggests, we probably could see another swing up. But at the moment, I don't really see any type of the reversal trade, a reversal signal. So we can probably rely on the immediate support level. And I really want to see whether it can just go up, have a test, and with a decreasing of the volume and sort of have a commitment bar, then we probably can try another position. So at the moment, for slightly longer term perspective, I'm still bullish on TLRY, but definitely long term for this kind of the breakout trade, definitely need to exit because of the bearish price action. So this is like an uptrust, a failed breakout. So definitely take an early exit instead of taking a full loss. So you can see that if I did not exit it here on that bar, this bearish bar will take me out. So I will have a full -1 R loss. Okay. So next one is the Bursa stocks, SCGM. So it's in a very similar situation, but I think in terms of the structure, SCGM is a lot nicer and it's less volatile. So I talked about SCGM last Sunday, so somewhere around here, I think. So let me see. 12, yes, that's the bar. So on that bar, just before the breakout, I say that we could probably take a breakout trade and there's a chance and with a stop probably below the swing low. So look at what happened. So on the first day here, look at this. This is a breakout, but this breakout is not really impressive at all. So why is that? So initially, when it's breaking out, it's probably taking hourly entry, or if you take the daily entry, if I were you, if I were to take the daily entry, I wouldn't take this breakout trade. So why is that? Because simply is that there is not much commitment to the upside, despite we have an increasing of the effort behind. So suggesting there's a lot of the supply within this bar. However, that need to be confirmed. So where is the confirmation? So next bar is the confirmation. So next bar, we see that the supply actually show up and then push back in is kind of acted as an uptrust. So a failed breakout. So just one bar commitment followed by a break below. So the next bar actually will get me out here. Okay. So instead of having stick to your stop loss, original stop loss, maybe somewhere below the swing low, have an early exit here. So which I took that. So because I entered it somewhere around here, but the price action at the end of the day, despite is not very favorable, but I still want to see a confirmation. But if I were to take the daily bar as the entry, I wouldn't. But because I have already entered it with a hourly chart, then I want to see what's next on the next day. So next day is surely see the confirmation, which determine that this is an uptrust. So this is first where the supply show up. So there's a lot of the supply, and in terms of the overall big structure, very similar to TLRY, I don't really see a very bearish structure. In fact, it's still bullish, but we might need to see some more time for SCGM to settle because of the increasing of the supply on this bar and also on this capitulation bar. So these two bar contain quite a lot of the supply. So if we can just have probably coming up to test the supply zone, have another test with the decreasing of the supply, I think that would be ideal for it to travel up again. Otherwise, you just probably patiently wait for the breakout type of the signal. Maybe use this. So the breakout type of the signal, that would be safer. So there are two type of the entry. One is probably a reversal from the support area. Next is probably the breakout type. But still, the reaction is still unfolding. We need to see whether this level will provide some kind of the support. Okay, so that's SCGM. And next one, let's see. Okay, ongoing trade. So these two are from the US, FRHC and SO. So FRHC, Freedom Holding. Okay, so I first covered it somewhere around here before the breakout. I thought that there could be some kind of the breakout anticipation because of the bullish structure. So again, this is like a buying climax. So automatic reaction, secondary test, phase A. So we have a test in B, and this could be phase C, and that could be the sign of strength rally. So this is a breakout trade, so probably somewhere around here on this bar. So enter it on here with a stop just below the swing low, and also anticipation of the breakout. So the breakout is very nice. It doesn't really come with a lot of the supply. In fact, it's just slight increase of the volume, and subsequently there is a earning coming up, and we have a reaction. So at the moment is looking very bullish. So we have a reaccumulation, a potential reaccumulation, a sign of strength rally, followed by a backup action. So at the moment, the price is probably having a little bit of the rejection. So we can see it from the rejection tail, especially on last Friday, there is a spike of the volume. So I really would like to see where you can just come back and to have a test, maybe a higher low, or maybe somewhere around here near the level, and anything taking a reversal trade right there with a stop just below the swing low, or even below the breakout bar, somewhere around 67 will be relatively safe and with a potential great reward to risk ratio. So if this is a reaccumulation, so with this huge cost build, there will be quite a lot of the upside ahead. So this is FRHC and it's an ongoing trade. And I think in terms of the possible trading opportunities, I will prefer for a reaction. So just a pullback, probably with a decreasing of the supply, maybe tested some area around here, maybe somewhere around 69 or close to 70. And if you can show reversal right there, that could be a nice entry. Otherwise, just be patient and wait for the breakout entry. Okay, so next one is the ASO. So this is ASO, Academic Sports and Outdoors. So I talked about ASO somewhere around here, maybe 2 weeks ago. Also anticipation of a breakout trade. So I think probably the trade could happen somewhere around here. So this could be the breakout. Yeah, either this bar or the next bar. And we can see that supply is not impressive. So in fact, that is just average or normal or on the low side. So this is generally a healthy sign. And at the moment is just trying to move up. So I think that it's still on its way out on a sign of strength rally. So if you can just come back up and have a test, anywhere near the 48 level could be a nice entry with a stop. I think a conservative stop will be somewhere around here, but I think for aggressive stop, there will be somewhere around 46. That will be aggressive stop. Okay, so wait for a pullback. I will probably scale in some opposition for ASO. Okay, so this is the two trades review. So what's next? Let's see. Okay, so let's go through the trade ideas. So first, let me just cover the US stock first. Okay, so this is AEHR. So I talk about AEHR quite a few times. So first here, second is last week. So we see that there is a kind of a change of character here. So there's a breakdown and just fall within this trading range. So at the moment, I still see that there is a possible entry, but if I zoom in with the volume, so we can see that there is a increasing of the supply on this bearish bar. So this bearish bar actually suggested that there is a change of character. So we might need to take into account a slightly larger trading range. So this is a trading range that we need to looking at. So for short-term trading opportunities, probably I will wait for maybe, as you can see, this is a really bearish bar, increasing of the supply, or even on last Friday, there is a rejection tail. So I just think that there could be some kind of the opportunity to spring this and followed by get back up. So for a bullish case. So Nikki just said that the change of character bar did not come with a big spike of volume. Well, I would say it's a spike of volume, but not that big. So if we zoom in, so this is the spike of the volume. So you can see that there's a spike of the volume right here, and with this big bearish bar. So still there's an increasing of the supply, and even with the ease of movement down. So we don't really need to see. Let me find a bar. Yeah, something like this. So this is not having this kind of the big spike volume. In fact, it's just have a slight increase of the volume and just push the price down. But so far, in terms of the structure, we still probably will see some more consolidation ahead. And if I just take this as probably an uptrend, like if we take the selling climax, sorry, this is a buying climax, and that could be a change of character, right? So this is the biggest down wave that we have ever seen out from this uptrend. So certainly this will stop the uptrend, at least for now. So this could be the trading range that we are looking at. So in terms of the phase, that could be just phase A. So there is a automatic reaction or a change of character. So, but in terms of the price action, I still do see some short-term trading opportunity, because if we think that this is a automatic reaction, what's the next phase? A secondary test, right? So we need to see how far it can travel for the secondary test. So until we see some resolution out from this, so these two bars are actually quite bearish. I would really prefer it can settle a bit before it can just reverse up. So let's just find some trading opportunity out from that, if this is your style or fit your personality. So Nikki said that, okay, been monitoring this counter due to semi-combo. Yeah, AEHR is actually quite a leadership. So look at this. Okay, so look at this. So it's just like from 2 all the way to about 20, 24. So it's like 10 times 10 beggars just within a few months, not even half a year. So very short period of time. So this is certainly a very impressive stocks. So usually I pay a lot of attention to these stocks, but we need to bear in mind that this sort of the multi-baggers tend to be very volatile as well, and you might need to have a smaller position with wider stop to manage that. Okay, so that's a AEHR. I will still keep monitoring that. So next one is plug. So plug is definitely in line with the overall clean energy sector that I mentioned. Somewhere around here, that could be 3 weeks or 2 weeks. Yeah, I think it's about 3 weeks ago. I talked about the whole sector of the clean energy is very bullish, because what I like about plug, not just because of this individual stock, but because of the clean energy sector. I think it's PBW for the ETF. So the overall sector includes Plug, Tesla, SunPower, Sunrun, also some of the lithium battery companies. So quite a lot of the companies are having very similar kind of the movement. So I do like the structure. So I definitely see a lot of the aggressive buying during the sign of strength rally. So this is the sign of strength rally, LPS, another sign of strength rally. So the whole chunk actually is a sign of strength rally. So this is a major sign of strength rally with probably a major backing up process. So I think there's certainly a lot more upside if you this. Look at this. How speculative is plug previously? Let me zoom out a bit. You can see the previous price movement. Look at this. This is a whole chunk of the accumulation. So once the rally gets started, and it just accelerate, and it just running into this buying climax. So it's crazy movement. So I really like this kind of the speculative stock, especially with some form of the accumulation structure with a cautious build. So if everything still running well, I guess 60 could be a reasonable target. And yeah, at the moment it's around 45. So I think that if this range, look at this, let me zoom in again. Okay, if this range is sort of like just breaking out on Friday, is sustained, I think we can definitely see another run up will start. So until it hit probably a very obvious resistance level somewhere around here, uh, then we can see another type of the consolidation here. So yeah, I mean at the moment, I think that's for breakout trade. We can probably wait for maybe a communal above. Let's just take this as a pivot point. So relying on the high of this bar and with a stop probably just below the swing low. That could be a trade. Otherwise, if you take a slightly longer um, point of view, you might want to place your stop just below the structure because sometimes that it could have a deeper pullback or a complex type of the range before you go up. So that could be a wider stop with a conservative stop. And if you want a tighter stop, that will be just somewhere below the swing low or even just below the breakout bar. So it's even tighter. So Dave just say now it's a recommendation. Yes, that's what I thought because of this is a Samsung rally backing up. So once it's breakout, I think that should complete the accumulation. So are we able to see from past history the duration of an accumulation phase? Well, unfortunately, not like this, but certainly we can tell from the past history is a very speculative stock and with a lot of the aggressive volume. So we probably can expect similar kind of the movement, at least in terms of the beta is a big beta stock, high beta stock. So let's just take this as a look. Look at this. This is 10%. This is minus 3.7. This is minus okay minus 2.6. But the range is probably another 10%. This is 8%. So you can tell from the volatility here, from 5 to 10% per bar is quite a normal, right? Especially once is in an uptrend. So unlike the volatility that we see during the trading range, so where there's a lot of the accumulation going on. So once it's in a sign of strength rally, the volatility is getting higher and we can expect some form of the speculative run up, but also to the downside as well. 5 days, 10 days, 30 days. Well, I can't really tell you the exact days, but certainly we can manage the trade accordingly. This is in assumption that the Nasdaq does not pull back. Yes. I mean, even if Nasdaq does have a correction, because you can tell that at the moment the Nasdaq is probably driven by the big tech like the Nvidia, AMD, the semicon stocks, not really from this kind of the small speculative stock. So even if Nasdaq does have a correction at the moment, is something like this, right? So as long as it did not really maybe break below the swing low, like maybe having taking a consolidation, I think that will be very good for others because this is considered as probably a small cap, and like Russell, if it can have showing some strength from Russell, that could be a sign of the rotation from the big cap into the small cap as well. But overall, I'm still very bullish because of the individual stocks plus the overall big sector. So the whole sector is very bullish. So Sun Power, Sunrun, just a few names, quite bullish. So next one is Zim. So Zim is probably just breakout. So I like this. This is earning. So we have an earning gap. Okay, it did not really break immediately for this downtrend line, or you want this is kind of like a triangle. So next bar is kind of breaking out from this immediate triangle or the downtrend line, and on Friday it just showed commitment above. So we have a 3-day continuous to the upside with quite a high volume, so quite high consistent volume if you consider with the previous volume session. And on Friday actually commit above this horizontal pivot point. So I think there could be a chance for Zim to at least test the swing high level somewhere around 60, 62, and we need to see whether it will have a reaction, maybe have some kind of the handle form before another breakout. So I think that could still be a trading opportunities with a stop probably just below the second bar or even below the third bar for conservative stop. All right, so this is ZIM, and in terms of the volume, this is like kind of a vertical absorption. So there's a lot of the supply coming up here, but still eventually there is a vertical absorption, absorb the way up, so to have a breakout. So I think it's relatively bullish. Okay, so next one. Okay, IWM. IWM is the ETF of the Russell 2000. So it's a very straightforward reaccumulation, and we have a sign of strength rally backing up. If I just zoom in a bit, look at this. So this is the breakout bar is currently testing. So I think it's very important for Russell 2000, for the IWM ETF to have a reversal type of a signal. So for this, what I'm looking at is I would prefer to see an attempt to rally, tested the supply zone, followed by a test of decreasing of the supply. And from here on, look for a reversal bar or even a breakout type of the entry. I think that could be a decent reward to risk ratio here. So because of the huge accumulation of the structure, so you can see that there is a big causes build, so almost like 10 or 11 months, so close to 1 year period of the accumulation. And I do believe that we could see the Russell 2000, which are the small caps, outperform the big cap probably for next year, like starting maybe the first half, or at least the first quarter or the second quarter. It should really outperform Nasdaq or S&P. So I think this is pretty much a very healthy type of the structure. So for short term wise, just looking for some kind of the test. So I'm waiting for some commitment above this supply zone as well. All right, so this is IWM, and I think probably that's all. Okay, we have one last one. HUT is a very relevant to the Bitcoin. It's a mining stock. So okay, talk about mining. I think I forget to take a look at Bitcoin. But anyway, I will just jump to Bitcoin after this stock. So let's start from here. So the real active participation comes this year June. So this year June, after the downtrend, it's kind of get settled. It's sort of forming a bottom, and after that there is a sign of strength rally, backing up, and then there's uptrend. So recently we see that the change of character show up. So this is definitely a change of character. If you still remember, this is the biggest down wave out from this, and this. So definitely the biggest down wave, and it's a change of character, suggesting we probably will entering into a trading range. But in terms of the immediate support, look at this. This is a axis line. This is axis line. So this whole area is the support area. And in terms of the supply level, I do see that it's probably decreasing when it's having a bull pullback. So this is in general a healthy sign. And because this stock is closely related to how Bitcoin will move, we definitely need to track Bitcoin. So not only just to look at the individual stocks, but Bitcoin as well. So overall, I really would like to see maybe another test or a commitment above. So that would be something that I'm looking at. Well, for Mara is kind of almost, well, almost got stopped out, but still holding. Let me jump to Mara. Mara is kind of have an unexpected move. So I think my entry is somewhere around here, about 60. So I talk about Mara here. So not really a perfect entry. In fact, it's kind of a late entry. I put my stop somewhere around here, just below the swing low. So like I say it's almost stop out, but still in the trade. And within a very short period of time, this is something like 30%. But at that point, I think Bitcoin is still very strong, and I don't really see this move coming. So this is actually just for this stock only. So if you're trading Riot or Silvergate, then you wouldn't really see this big move. So this is a, what is this? It's a close to 30% move. So it's a super volatile stock. But at the moment, I see that we're still probably pending a technical rally. So if we look closer, definitely this is a lot of the supply push the price down, and subsequently look at this. So we see that there is a shortening of the downward thrust, right? So there's a shortening of the downward thrust for this, actually 1, 2, 3, only 3 or 4 bars only. So shortening of the downward thrust suggested that there is a loss of the momentum to the downside. So I really hope that this is the rally, the technical rally that I'm looking at. So hopefully can test this supply zone, whether it's a halfway or maybe under a very bullish scenario, it could just go all the way to test the high before it developed a trading range. So this is the bullish case that I'm hoping for. Otherwise, if it fails, then I think that could stop me out. So if it fail for another big bearish bar with the increasing of the supply, then I'll be out. Because if you take a look at like Silvergate, this is probably one of the quality stock related to Bitcoin. Look at this. The structure is very nice. So it doesn't really have that big capitulation move down. In fact, it's just commit above the overall structure. So this is what I like about Silvergate, or even the Hard 8. So the Hard 8 is like a very speculative small cap stock, but this is a lot more, probably a lot more quality. If you want, take a look at the earning. I think this is still generate some decent earning as well. So Nikki said that due to the news of SEC inquiry, yeah, I saw that, because I still can't really correlate that. I mean, just an inquiry from SEC, and it just dropped like 30% for Mara. So it's quite a ridiculous move. But anyway, look at the price action and focus on the risk. So if it does show capitulation or more bearish price action, then I think it's best to stay out, at least for Mara. And for Bitcoin, so let me jump to Bitcoin and let's see. Okay, let's take a look at Bitcoin. So we can see that Bitcoin actually had a very nice accumulation structure. So look at this. This is kind of like a rounding, but don't be fooled by the rounding first. So let's focus on the price action. So I talk about Bitcoin here before the breakout, and indeed it broke out all-time high, but having some rejection. So this does not really pose a threatened move. In terms of a supply, look at this. This segment, I don't really see a lot of the spike of the supply. In fact, it's kind of maybe on par with the previous supply, and maybe definitely better than this. So we have quite a lot of supply here. And at the moment, I think is having a spring. So in order for the spring to become a valid, we definitely need to see, at least for now, I want to see a test. So there's an increasing of the supply, and I really would like to see a test, followed by a break above. So the pivot here would be around 60,000. So if we can break above 60,000, certainly it has a chance to attempt to test swing high somewhere around 68. So that's a Bitcoin. So at the moment, the spring could probably form a potential good reward to risk here. So this is Bitcoin. Overall, I'm still very bullish on Bitcoin. So for long term, so I think is a beast here. So really, we need to handle the volatility of Bitcoin, and certainly the stocks related to Bitcoin is very volatile as well. Okay, definitely watch out the risk if you trade that. All right, so that's all for the US stocks. Let's jump to Malaysia stocks. Okay, Malaysia Bursa. So still quite a number of the old stocks, which I mentioned quite a few times already. So first one is KOBAY. So let me zoom in a bit. So I talk about KOBAY here, 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 and here. So this is a fifth time. I mean, if we want to look at this as a reaccumulation, so this is a buying climax. So automatic reaction, secondary test, phase A, test in B, test in B. So I mentioned that this could be a sign of strength rally, and we have a backing out action. So that's why I mentioned I cover these stocks is probably on the move, because it's just in phase D. Once it's completed, it will just test the previous all-time high level. So indeed, it just break out here, shallow pullback, continue to move up. So at the moment is sort of changing the accumulation structure from the downsloping type into something like a rounding, right? So if this is a reaccumulation, I think certainly there will be quite a lot of the upside as well. So right after it tested the all-time high, so this is the all-time high level. So we see this breakout bar with the increasing of the volume. But look at the next reaction. So it's very healthy. So very shallow type of the reaction. And look at this, very low supply. Okay, so I think this is a very healthy stock, and also the supplies is in strong hands. That's why we don't really need to see this kind of the big volume to push a price up, because they're still holding the supply. Okay, so at the moment, I think last Friday is just a breakout, a straight breakout. So if you chase a breakout, then your stop would naturally be just under the swing low. So slightly, maybe about 10%. So that could be a valid stop. So that's a breakout trade if you miss this, or this, or this. All right, so KOBAY is definitely still bullish, and I see quite a lot of the upside for KOBAY. So next one is PENTA. So PENTA is still, in my opinion, still a bullish structure. I talked about this 2 weeks ago, last Sunday, and in terms of the big structure, I don't really want to repeat because I have mentioned it. So roughly, I think that could be another structure by itself. So at the moment, is quite important to wait for a commitment. So if you haven't in this trade, then I think I would suggest to wait for a commitment above. If you can see my alert here, it's somewhere around 582. So I want to see a commitment above 582. I think it could just travel up. At this point, what I like about this is there are quite a few tests. First, second, third. So in terms of the reaction, so this is the first reaction, second reaction. Look at this. This is the third reaction. So it's the strongest reaction or the better reaction that we have out from this reaction. So this is what I like about Penta. But I see that supply increase on this bar. So as you can see, rejection tail, next bar also rejection tail, but supply decrease. But still, we don't really have good quality demand to push the price up. So last Friday, also slight increase of the supply and close at a low. So at this point, I believe that it could probably spend some more time here until whether we get very low supply or we do see some aggressive demand come in to push the price up, and then we could probably see some breakout and commit above 582, so which is the swing high level here. All right, so in terms of Penta, I think I'm still bullish. I still see that there is a lot of upside for Penta, at least to test the previous a few levels ahead. So this is the 625. Next is probably the all-time high, 675. So overall is generally is a reaccumulation structure. Is my bias. So for entry, you probably want to wait for a commitment above. That's for a breakout. Otherwise, wait for a test of the support at about 5.5 and see whether you get a reversal from there. That's Penta. Next one is FRONTKN. Okay, FRONTKN is still a very strong stocks, and in terms of the accumulation structure, I still like it. So this is a very important point. This is the first time that it initiated a breakout, and despite we see that there is a spike of the supply, and also here as well spike of the supply, but look at this. So we don't really see quite a lot of the reaction. So this is a reaction. So unlike the previous reaction that we get, so this is the first clue. So this reaction is a lot better than this or even this, despite that if we just take this or this as the analog bar. So the second attempt to break out is here. So this is a second attempt that so we see the breakout. So we only see that there is an increasing of the volume and then there is a no commitment above. So here comes another reaction. And in terms of the reaction, this reaction is actually better than the first reaction. So why is it better? So first of all, supply is decreasing, right? So we definitely get lower supply if we compare it to here. So this is the reaction that we compare. In terms of the spread, definitely we see a lot more small spread bars, unlike this slightly bigger spread here. So that's why this is a slightly better reaction. So from both supply perspective and also the price action perspective. Okay, so at the moment is probably supported by the demand line. So it's in a uptrend, up channel. So supported by the demand line. And I really would like to see a commitment above, probably here, about 388. So if you can commit above, I think that could be a nice entry or to scale in with the anticipation of the breakout. So this is, yeah, you can see that this is also another support, the horizontal type of the support. So for conservative stop, just put it below the support level. That will be relatively conservative. Okay, so that's FRONTKN. Okay, next one, MSC. I talked about MSC last Sunday here. So this is MSC. In terms of the overall big structure, there's no change. I still believe that this is still a sign of strength rally with a backup action still unfolding. So we do get a reaction or positive reaction out from the earning, I believe. This is a spike of the volume, so it could be the earning. And subsequently, it just moved up a bit with a settle down of the volume, supply is decreasing. So I believe that it still offers some decent reward to risk. So, and hopefully it can just break out of the all-time high. So I believe this is the all-time high here, the swing high. And yeah, that could be a huge accumulation structure. So I would tend to hold it for long term or slightly longer term for MSC. All right, so your stop will be naturally just below this swing low level. Okay, next one is the AEMULUS. So I cover AEMULUS in a few places. So here, 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 and here. And finally, just after a breakout, and there's no commitment. So we see that there's a failure. So I think that's also responding to the earning as well. So whether it's a sell into the news or it's just take some profits, it doesn't really matter. So what matter is at this point, we know that there is a failed breakout, there's uptrust, and all the entry point here or value entry point with your stop slightly here or here are still valid. And at this point, I want to draw your attention to maybe just these two bar. So apart from these two bar with a slight increase of the supply, I don't really see a lot of the aggression in terms of the bearish price action. So if we take a look at this here, it's just only maybe this two here, and there's one with a demand tail, so suggesting probably there's still demand come in, and where people see that this is somewhere around the axis line where the previous resistance now turned the support. So that could be the support area that the bull are looking for. And for reversal trade, I really think that's probably it needs to commit above 114. So looking for maybe a breakout trade like a commitment above 114 with your stop just below, that could form another short-term swing to at least test 125 swing high. So for slightly longer, I think that AEMULUS could be for position trading or investing because of the huge courses build. I still think that is very bullish for the AEMULUS. So these are all the accumulation courses. So certainly there will be quite a lot of the upside ahead for AEMULUS. So up to you whether you want to trade a short term or long term. So next one is RAMSSOL. So RAMSSOL is not really a favorable trade, at least for me, because I do cut maybe one times. I think I cut somewhere around here. So I cover RAMSSOL two times, but it did not really have commitment above. So in fact, it just kind of have a reaction down. So at the moment is testing this support area, support level. You can see is right at 71. So in terms of the overall volume, I don't really see a lot of the aggression in selling. So even though that it had a reaction here, supply is decreasing. So at the moment, is right at the support. So if it can just kind of go up from here, that would at least offer some nice reward to risk. So your risk, your stop, will be just naturally placed below the swing low. So that will be your risk. And the reward will be at least to this previous axis line here, or at least to here. So this is the first level, 85, followed by 90, so that could be another range bound trading for RAMSSOL. So next one is NESTCON. NESTCON is in a very nice uptrend. So this is a uptrend. So up channel, and you can see that is kind of touch this channel here, here, and now it's the third time that it touch. So we get support here, and we have another horizontal type of a support. So what I really like to see is probably to wait for the price to move down a bit. So whether you can travel down to sort of test this area, 42, 43, doesn't really matter. So basically it's just a test of this vertical acceleration bar, and if you can form a reversal, and your reward to risk, that's your risk, your stop, could be quite decent. At least it will travel within this sub channel. So at the moment, I think um, it's still traveling quite nicely within this up channel. So let's see if we can do this for a short-term swing. Okay, so that's all for the Malaysia stocks for this week. And let's go to Q&A. Okay, so before I jump to the Q&A, maybe I will just make an announcement here. So I have actually running a Black Friday special. So for the weekly live group coaching session, usually it's 599 yearly, and I will have throwing the bonus of 2 months, so total of 14 months instead of 12 months. And for the mastering price section trading is was 997, and at the moment it's 797. So is valid from now until Black Friday, 26th of November. If you are interested, you can just go to tradeprecise.com and just go ahead with the purchase, and I will manually add the 2 months for you. Or for the mastering price action trading, I think the price has been adjusted. All right, so just back to Q&A. The first one is plug. That's from Nikki. So it's actually a trade review, or in fact it's an ongoing trade review. Okay, so stop loss at enter. Okay, let's start from the entry. So that's your entry, 41 November 10, and your stop loss is 36, so somewhere around here. Okay, and okay, what's your question? I think it's probably, I think I did not copy down your question. Yes, and okay, but never mind. I think your question is somewhere around the entry. Let me take a look at plug again. So on the 10th of November, so 10th of November, so somewhere around here. So your entry is somewhere around here with the stop at about 36. So it's somewhere around here. Okay, that's your, that could be your entry. Okay, so Nikki just say plug if my entry too late or the stop loss in the right spot. Okay, right. Well, if you enter it right there, is probably a bit late, but not too late, I would say, because it really depends on your plan, whether you want to catch a short-term swing or you rely on the big structure. So even until now, it's not too late if you rely on this big structure. Sound strength rally, backing up, big causes build. So this will be the accumulation area. And if you enter it right there, that could be based on, I don't know, maybe a time of the breakout trade based on your hourly chart. So yeah, I can see that you probably enter it like sort of like a breakout type of the entry. So this is your entry, and right after that is probably, yeah, it's probably still within that, and your stop is fine, but I would put the stop slightly lower if I really want to take this trade, because if you put like 36 here, look at this. So this is actually the axis line where the support, where the previous resistance now turned to support, and also the breakout bar here. And it's quite natural for the price to come back to have a test of this, whether the breakout bar or whether it's the axis line or even slightly down. So the safest stop will be below this 34, somewhere around 34. That will be the safest stop. And I think the best entry could be maybe the first entry, the breakout entry, because of the absorption within this LPS. So I think this sort of the breakout entry will be generally safe because there is some absorption going on within this nice little range. So I think first entry could be here. Second entry would be this. This is a gap up type of the bar, so no point to just chasing. And yeah, at the moment, I think you just need to manage accordingly with your stop. I think I wouldn't adjust the stop yet because in terms of the overall structure, is still currently developing. For really worst case, there will be some complex pullback, means that it could probably come back and have a test or have a spring before it can just move up. But overall structure is still very much bullish. Okay, next one is also from Nikki, TSM. So the semicon industry has been super bullish lately. However, TSM seems to be very mild in comparison. It's still moving in the range. Yes. Zooming in closer days, 2 mini sign of strength rally here and here. Okay. Candles looks bullish without big spike. Okay, that will be the last two candles, suggesting absorption. Question: should I wait breakout of 125 to enter with stop loss around 119? Okay, stop loss 119 is just behind this commitment bar. I think your stop loss is good. From the structure point of view, I think you're right. That could be buying climax automatic rally, or if you want, this is another type of the labeling: selling climax automatic rally, secondary test A, test in B, test in B. And we do see some kind of the sign of strength rally, despite it's probably into one wave up, another wave up. Probably this is the third wave up. In terms of the up wave, definitely there is aggressive volume, so I like this volume. So this is good volume, aggression, and momentum bar, another momentum bar, and even this as well. This is the earning bar gapping, so this is also bullish bar. So we have 4 momentum bar at least. So although it didn't really have a straight up trend like this, but I think that could be the sign of strength rally the bulls are looking at. In terms of the entry, because at the moment is kind of near the resistance, right? The resistance is just right above. So I just want to see how it get tested and have a reaction, because first time you see that there is here, right? This is first time reaction, second time uptrust, reaction, third time kind of consolidate until it show failure. Actually, this is quite a nice rally. I really like this rally. Subsequently forming kind of a tight consolidation, but there is no breakout to the upside. In fact, there's a breakdown. So always wait for a commitment and wait for a confirmation. So after the breakdown, here's another reaction. So at this point, it's kind of testing the supply or the resistance zone. So I just want to see whether it could maybe do this. And then you can trade the breakout. I think that would be the safest way that I will approach. Dave just say, I will wait for breakout and BU to settle. Yeah, this is a good strategy. I agree. Resistance come new support. Yeah, so maybe it could do it might either do this breakout, do this like what Dave suggests, or it could do this resistance, another reaction. Maybe it's better than this, decreasing of supply, and then finally have a breakout, run up, and then have another reaction right at this level. Okay. All right. So okay, long accumulation phase. Yep. Definitely just worth waiting. All right. So we got a question from Dave AMKR. Sure. Let's look at AMKR MCore. Okay. MCore is probably still within the range. Apart from the failure that we see drop from this kind of the uptrust, so I think I covered it here, but it did not really move up. In fact, it just have a gap down, big bearish bar, not sure what's going on, and then inability to rally up, and followed by a breakdown. So right now is probably testing the supply zone. Well, in terms of overall structure, we could still be in B, and whether this is C could be. I mean, that could be a range, right? I don't really see a lot of the aggressive volume, aggressive supply. Um, I do think that we need to take note of probably this bar. So this is a supply zone. A lot of the spike of the supply. So right now is probably not an entry because it's kind of testing the resistance area. If you can just sort of settle a bit or have a pullback, um, maybe you can rely on the localized support area with a stop maybe slightly below 23 or 22, so somewhere around here. So at the moment, I think it's a bit stretched. So I just wonder how it will interact at this resistance level, whether it can break above or whether it will just have another rejection and forming a consolidation. So might take some time. Okay, so Dave say your options expire in Jan. Okay. Oh no. Well, I guess that's a bad news. Option, there's a time decay effect, so you can't really do much. Even if you cut now, I think probably it lost quite a lot of value already. But anyway, yeah, it could be C, but it takes time to develop. Especially you see that it's not really an outperforming stock from the relative strength here. It's kind of like lagging behind, but now it's sort of turning up. So there is a chance that it's in a run up. So definitely is probably in a run up. Let's see how it tests the swing high here. Okay. So Johari say thanks MJ, great session. Thank you Johari. I think we have question from KH. Oh yeah, you're right, KH. I think I do mention NGGB. For some reason is probably did not put it in my watch list in TradingView. Okay, and NGGB is another speculative stock. So what I like about NGGB is the speculative nature. So I like this. So look at this. So there's a ton of the aggressive volume come in, while the reaction here is just kind of have a very low volume. So you can see that the volume is quite low. Let me zoom in so that you can get a closer look here. Okay. All right. So let's focus on the reaction. So look at this. This reaction comes with low level of the supply, despite that this, in terms of the magnitude, amplitude is quite large, and followed by a test with even lower supply. So I think this is a healthy sign and have a attempt to rally, but we see the rejection, and here comes another reaction. But look at this, very low supply. And the best thing is, at the moment, is kind of supported at the axis line. So there's a previous resistance. Once it's broken out, it turns support, support. So I think that could offer some decent reward to risk, where your risk would be just below the swing low. So this is your risk. Your reward will be at least the swing high. So maybe slightly above 1. So yeah, this is NGGB. Thanks KH and PIE. Yeah, sure. PIE. Okay. Yeah, here. This is PIE. Okay. So I covered PIE a few times here and here. I talk about this as position trading candidates or the investing candidates. So pretty much that is still within the uptrend. So you can see that it's a very nice up channel. So it's still traveling very nicely. This is the overbought of the channel. Every time you hit the overbought, and especially with the increasing of the supply, this is a bit attempt to hit. This is slight increase of the supply. It had a reaction. So it's always safer to buy at the demand line. So near the demand line area here. So especially at the moment is nearing the support area. So here's a horizontal support, and here's a demand line. So I do think that it could offer some decent reward to risk. I think earnings just not sure, not out yet. Okay, not sure what happened, but certainly probably would just wait for the earning, and this two bar containing increasing of the supply. Despite the last Friday, definitely there is no downwards results. So there's some buying happening right there. I really would like to see maybe another test, something like this, with a decreasing of the supply and somewhere around here, and where your stop would be naturally just below the swing low. So that could offer some nice reward to risk. Or even if you want to hold it for long term, last time I have the projection with the point and figure. So that's a number. So it's still there. I think it's still achievable based on the nice structure and also the price action. Okay. What else? KH say that earning already released 19 November. Oh, okay. So I think this could be the error. So, oh, no, it just did not reflect. No, never mind. All right, so that's pretty much it for the session. If you have any questions or any stocks that would like to take a look, we can still look at the stocks. Otherwise, let's end this session. So, any more question? Any stocks? Nothing? All right, so I think we'll just okay, so what's this? DNO. Sure. DNO. DNO. Okay, so here's DNO. Um, well, I don't really see anything special apart from it's in a still a nice uptrend. Well, this uptrend is still within a very well defined up channel. If you can see, this is demand line, this is the midline, supported. So at the moment, it tested the horizontal line supported by the mid channel, and last Friday it sort of have a localized breakout. So I wonder maybe it can test the swing high. So maybe it can test 6. So this is the breakout, and we need to see whether it can continue, because once it's at 6 or 6 plus, it's somewhere around overbought here. I'm not sure whether it can just pull back and have another reaccumulation. Okay, so that's DNO. Sure, that's JHM. Actually, I think I still haven't covered KGB, so I do want to cover KGB. So KGB is one of the question as well. Well, JHM is, as you can see, is in a range. So this is a big range. But if you really look very long term, we're still within this Sun of Strength rally. Huge backing up action, but it's still stuck within the backup action range. So at the moment is supported. This is the area that gets supported about 1.6 to 175. So it seems like we have a test here. So we got some selling climax, a rally. Here's another test. So probably form a temporary bottom for now. And I wonder it could just sort of turning up, maybe test the 2 again. So this is the structure that we probably can anticipate. And until it sort of settle, then it might just initiate a breakout. So the red box here is the supply zone. So definitely I need to see commitment above, definitely need breakout above, so they can travel to test the all-time high 244. So that's a JHM. And let me see KGB. Okay. So I think okay. So KGB is definitely a bullish structure and accumulation range. Last time I think this is my target, somewhere around 1.7 to 2. It sort of hit about 1.9, and then it's from the trading range. So at the moment, we're still looking at this. It's a big trading range. There's a attempt to break out of the downtrend line, immediate downtrend line, but there's no commitment. And if we focus on the volume, we can see that there's not much aggressive demand come in, but supply is generally low. So I do like that. So I think as long as supply is low, and if it can test this, so that would be somewhere around 1.6, 165 or 164, somewhere around here. I think that could be a decent reward to risk. Okay, so at the moment it's still stuck within the range. I think it might need to spend some time traveling up and down until it settles down and break above. So it's very bullish at the moment. So let's see. Okay, Christopher, thanks. I'm a great session. Thank you. Amar say appreciate your time. Thank you, Amar. Thanks, KH. Thanks, Dave. Okay. Someone asked about MMSV. Oh, I didn't see. So let's look at MMSV. Okay, MMSV. So let's see. All right. So MMSV is probably within. Well, we got a routing breakout, a deep pullback. So another attempt to rally. So the price action is just a bit erratic. Here's the trading range I'm looking at. Uptrust, supply come in. So reaction is just probably doesn't go anywhere, and right now is probably testing the midline, 103 or even 1. If it fails, then I think it will just come back to test the support at about 87. But if you can reverse, because I think apart from these two bar with the increasing of the supply, the next two are generally okay. So I will expect it will have another rally, bump into these two bars, have another test, probably somewhere around here, but it just doesn't really go anywhere. It's sideways market. So yeah, not the bearish, it's just a sideways market. Tam Heng Yen, is it good reward to enter DNEX? Oh, okay. Yeah, DNEX I think is quite a nice stock to look at right now. I do have a position in DNEX. I exit and I re-enter, but at the moment it doesn't really show very aggressive movement yet. So maybe I talk about this. Yeah, I talk about this here, and I think I enter it. I don't know, maybe somewhere around here. But you can see that after the spike here, there is a quick pullback, and my reason for the exits was because of this. So I see that there's a lot of the supply on the next bar, so I'm not comfortable. So I think I end up maybe profit 1 or 2 cents only. But after that, it's sort of there is no follow through to the downside. There's a reversal, and here I go, going again. But still, there are some supply. But in terms of the supply zone that I box up, so every times if we look at the past, so let's see here. So this is the first time, second times, maybe the third times, fourth times. So we have a reaction here, another reaction, third reaction. So I do like this reaction because it's a lot better than this and this. So subsequently, despite that we see there is the rejection, consistent volume. So definitely there is a lot of supply on this bar, and that's confirmed by the next bar. But I do see that overall supply is decreasing. So I think that could become a good entry. Well, at least your stop would be a tight stop would be here. A better stop or maybe slightly conservative stop would be here, maybe about 76 or 80. So your reward will actually be, well, somewhere at least if it break out successfully, that's your first level, that's your second level or the all-time high level. So I think that could form a trade if you want to test some position because of the decreasing of the supply, and yeah, probably suggesting that we could see a temporary bottom here, and this is like the exit zone where the previous supply zone now become probably a support area. So yeah, can definitely try and control your risk with a proper position sizing. That should be fine. So 76 will be slightly wider stop. I think in terms of earning is probably coming out soon. Yeah, I think coming out soon. Maybe you could just take the earning as a catalyst to break out. Dave just said that it looks like VCP. Um, VCP wise, it's still a bit volatile to me. Yeah, I'll prefer somewhere around here or here. So this looks more like VCP to me. So this is quite volatile. Okay, you're welcome. All right. So I think getting late, we just end this session. So hopefully you guys find it useful. All right. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next Sunday. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a nice week ahead. Bye bye.